All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasya Tadesha Tarane Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottama Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Jatotayam Madhuriyat Nastaprayashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloki Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So, here we are, Srimad Bhagavatam, Saturday morning. I'm going to read the Sanskrit 3 times, and then we can take turns. I'm in remote today. I'm not in the temple. So I will, we can just take turns on anyone on Zoom. So, Chakshri Hiranyakashipur Durbhyam Brahma Varena Cha Vashesha Palalokam Strin Akuto Mrityur Udata Chakra Hiranyakashipur Durbhyam Brahma Virena Cha Vashesha Palalokam Strin Akuto Mrityur Udata Chakra Hiranyakashipur Durbhyam Brahma Virena Cha Vashesha Palalokam Strin Akuto Mrityur Udata. Anyone else like to chant?
Shakte Hiranyakasipur Durbhyam Brahmavarena Cha Vashesa Palal Lokam Strin Akuto Mrityur Udhata. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna. Chakre Hiranyakashipur Durbhyam Brahmavarena Cha Vashesha Palalokam Strin Akuto Mrityur Udahata. Hare Krishna.
Chakre Hiranyakashipu Dorbhyam Brahmavarena Cha Vashesa Pala Lokam Strin Akuto Mrityur Uddhata.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Okay, we'll do word for word. Chakre, made. Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyakashipu. Dorbyam, by his 2 arms. Brahma Varena, by the benediction of Brahma. Cha, and Vashe, under his control. Shapalan, along with their protectors. Lokan, the worlds. Trin, 3. Akuta Mrityu, fearing death from no one. Udhata, puffed up. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The elder child Hiranyakashipu was unafraid of death from anyone within the 3 worlds because he received a benediction from Lord Brahma. He was proud and puffed up due to this benediction and was able to bring all 3 planetary systems under his control. Purport. As will be revealed in later chapters, Hiranyakashipu underwent severe austerity and penance to satisfy Brahma, and thus received a benediction of immortality. Actually, it is impossible, even for Lord Brahma, to give anyone the benediction of becoming immortal. But indirectly, Hiranyakashipu received the benediction that no one within this material world would be able to kill him. In other words, because he originally came from that abode of Vaikuntha, he was not able to be killed by anyone within this material world. The Lord desired to appear himself to kill him. One may be very proud of his material advancement and knowledge, but he cannot be immune to the 4 principles of material existence, namely birth, death, old age, and disease. It was the Lord's plan to teach people that even Hiranyakashipu, who was so powerful and strongly built, could not live more than his destined duration of life. One may become as strong and puffed up as Hiranyakashipu and bring under his control all the three worlds, but there's no possibility of continuing life eternally or keeping the conquered booty forever. So many emperors have ascended to power, and they are now lost in oblivion. That is the history of the world. Omegyana Tamaranjasya Kinanjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmalatamina Tashmi Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobistam Shapi Tamina Bhutale Svayam Rupakadabayam Dadati Svadvatam Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shiva Sati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Srimati Bhakti Churus Nityanamane Sneja Chaita Survaneda Vadmanam Trasas and Prabhupada Pranam Bhakti Charupadan. So I'm going to read that translation again, and then we'll dive in. The elder child, Hiranyakashipu, was unafraid of death from anyone within the three worlds because he received a benediction from Lord Brahma. He was proud and puffed up due to this benediction and was able to bring all three planetary systems under his control. As will be revealed in later chapters, Hiranyakashipu underwent severe austerity and penance to satisfy Brahma and thus receive a benediction of immortality. Actually, it is impossible even for Lord Brahma to give anyone the benediction of becoming immortal, but indirectly, Hiranyakashipu received the benediction that no one within this material world would be able to kill him. In other words, because he originally came from the abode of Vaikuntha, he was not to be killed by anyone within this material world. The Lord desired to appear himself to kill him. One may be very proud of his material advancement in knowledge, but he cannot be immune to the four principles of material existence, namely birth, death, old age, and disease. It was the Lord's plan to teach people that even Hiranyakashipu, who was so powerful and strongly built, could not live more than his destined duration of life. One may become as strong and puffed up as Hiranyakashipu and bring under his control all the three worlds, but there's no possibility of continuing life eternally or keeping the conquered booty forever. So many emperors have ascended to power, and they are now lost in oblivion. That is the history of the world. So I read that twice. Thank you for sticking on there with me. For people who logged in a little bit late, I just got really into that purport. So I wanted to really dive into a couple of points here today, and Prabhupada was focusing on a couple of things here that I think are important to go over. So it's good. I read that purport twice because there's a couple of things in here that I think Prabhupada that he was really trying to point out here. One is that Hiranyakashipu, he received these benedictions from Lord Brahma. We know that from reading further in Bhagavatam, with Prahlad Maharaj he's the father of Prahlad Maharaj, and he received all these benedictions due to these severe austerities. And the important thing to remember here is that he received them from Lord Brahma. He asked Lord Brahma for immortality. However, Lord Brahma even doesn't have immortality. We've discussed, and I give class for Harrisburg as well once a month, and we're in second canto discussing this now, but even Lord Brahma has an end of his lifespan. Age 100, Lord Brahma's life ends. And so 100 years for us is a lot longer than, or a lot shorter than Lord Brahma's 100 years. So it's a different calculation of time. But nonetheless, Lord Brahma's lifespan is not infinite. Only the Lord can have an infinite lifespan. And so Lord Brahma did not have the ability to grant immortality because he himself doesn't hold that benediction. He also has that, so he can't grant that. But the only thing he was able to grant was the immortality in the material sense, that he could not be conquered by anyone in the material realm. So that being said, we know that Hiranyakashipu has these many different qualities. He is incarnating as a demon, going back to Jai and Vijay. We've been listening for weeks. We listened to the the background of the story of Jai and Vijay and the dialogue that they had with the four Kumaras and the curse of the four Kumaras. So we're understanding all of this, that the Jai and Vijay were actually servants, very dear servants to the Lord. And so, but when the Lord accepted the curse from the four Kumaras, he did so asking the four Kumaras to make it quick. You know, don't keep them away from me for so long. And so in that, although Hiranyakashipu had done all these austerities for, you know, thousands of years, you know, in the scheme of the heavenly planets and the time, the way time passes, that's a short period of time. So Hiranyakashipu and his brother were incarnated as demons. It's kind of the quickest route back to Vishnu, and so this is how they were able to carry out that pastime and then ultimately be able to be conquered by the Lord as Nrsimhadev, Vishnu, Krishna in the form of Nrsimhadev, be conquered by him and then be able to go back home. So this is kind of the process. So we understand that there's a lot behind this story. It's not just that there's a demon, he's doing awful things. This is all under the will of the Lord. He requested that, you know, a shorter sentence, so to speak, of the four Kumaras, so that they could, you know, his devoted service could come back to him more quickly. But so this immortality had this kind of clause on it. So the clause was really that even though Hiranyakashipu believed he was immortal, and we know later on that he had created all of these special things, you know, it can't be in the day, it can't be in the night, it can't be by a human, it can't be you know, by natural disaster. You know, he created all of these different clauses or conditions to how he couldn't be killed. So he wanted to make sure the Lord Brahma was covering all of his bases for this immortality. But ultimately, it came to pass that he was killed by the Lord. So what is happening here? What is the tendency of the demon, of the demonic mindset? And this is what it's really. We have the demonic person here that's personified, giving up in the example of Hiranyakashipu. This is a character playing out in this role. However, we can look also at the traits of the demoniac, and it's the demoniac as a person, or even looking at traits that we might even possess internally. So I wanted to take us to Srimad Bhagavatam, and I know this verse is discussed a lot with regard to when we come into some of the qualities of different demons throughout the Bhagavatam. We often will land ourselves back into chapter 16 of Bhagavad Gita, and it's just as a reminder to better understand the traits of the demon. And this is Bhagavad Gita 16:9, and I'll just read you the translation. The demoniac, who are lost in themselves and who have no intelligence, engage in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world. And we know that with Hiranyakashipu and his brother, the world became dark. It became very, you know, void and cold, and so all of these things bringing the darkness in when they were born. So the demoniac, as Prabhupada says, are engaged in activities that will lead to world destruction. The Lord states here that they are less intelligent. And so with this demoniac behavior, you can see Hiranyakashipu, he wants to be the controller of everything. And what that ultimately does is it brings things down, because when we're trying to control, we're actually going against the Lord. So this is Bhagavad Gita 16:9. Now, Bhagavad Gita 16:13 through 15 adds some additional things to it. The demoniac person thinks, so much wealth do I have today, and I will gain more according to my schemes. So much is mine now, and it will increase in the future more and more. He is my enemy, and I have killed him, and my other enemies will also be killed. I am the Lord of everything. I am the enjoyer. I am perfect, powerful, and happy. I am the richest man surrounded by aristocratic relatives. There's none so powerful and happy as I am. I shall perform sacrifices. I shall give some charity, and thus I shall rejoice. In this way, such persons are deluded by ignorance. So this is when we are reading through the Bhagavatam, we're hearing this type of dialogue. It may not be so outward, but we're seeing these qualities oftentimes with the demoniac personalities that we come across through this. And maybe with some people that we encounter, different people in the world that maybe possess those qualities, and you might even hear things similar to that coming out of their mouths. So these two verses in Bhagavad Gita give us these qualities. And Krishna goes into explaining the demoniac behavior, or the divine and demoniac qualities in Bhagavad Gita, because it's important for us to understand how we can also identify these things, not just in others, but also in ourselves too. And one of the things that is very much tied to the demoniac mentality is that there's no connection to the Lord. The demoniac nature is to turn their backs on the Lord, to really compete with the Lord. And Hiranyakashipu is trying to be the Lord in the world, but even by asking, by the actual act of asking for immortality, that is an envious trait, because we know that no one can be immortal but the Lord. So he's even there asking for something to be in competition to try and be the Lord himself. And so this is not a high quality. This is not something we want, this is not a quality we want to aspire toward. Because the Lord was given this boon by Hiranyakashipu was given the boon by Lord Brahma. He somehow felt, though, that there was some guarantee in there. Lord Brahma had given him this in his mind, because it was backed by Lord Brahma. It was almost like a stamp. He got that stamp of approval. It was a license to dominate and destroy. And this can come up even we might see this coming up in other religious contexts. We might see it come up in political context. We might hear someone say, oh, well, God gave me the power to do this, or the president gave me the power to do this, or my parents said I could do this. You have a kid that comes over to someone else's house and the rules are different, and my parents said I could do this. And it kind of you using the authority as a pass to say, well, this person has condoned or given me this right to do this. And it's oftentimes a person that holds respect, that is held in high regard by others. So this is, again, another trait that Hiranyakashipu, he's throwing this around. He's like, well, Lord Brahma gave me this boon. So I, because he did that, I am, I'm capable of doing these things. So you have to listen to me. I've received this ability from Lord Brahma. So a couple of other things that came in too. There's a couple of words that are really important in this verse. The one is dorbyam, and it's translated as two-armed in this verse. However, it goes beyond that. When I was looking into kind of going deeper into the Sanskrit on this one, dorbyam is actually two-armed, but it actually, even wider lens on that word, means like showing extreme strength. It's kind of a metaphor being used for powerful and mighty. And we might hear someone use the term two-fisted. Two-fisted is like if you look up the term two-fisted, which is an English phrase, it means very strong and virile and tough, right? And dorbyam is similarly with the two arms, it's very strong and tough. So we know that these are the qualities that were brought out here. Again, it says he was proud and puffed up due to these benedictions. So puffed up, what's the other word in here? Udata. Udata is puffed up, it's arrogant. And Prabhupada uses the term puffed up a lot. He talks about this puffed up ego. And what is puffed up really? It's puffy, it's puffed up, but there's a lot of air underneath it. When we think of something that's puffed up, we think about it as being full of air, hot air, but there's not substance underneath the surface. So this is a false arrogance. This is a sense of a high regard for oneself without anything to, without, it's not that there isn't anything to back it up. I mean, Hiranyakashipu had some pretty serious powers. He was a true demon and he had a lot of boons, a lot of benedictions that gave him all of these powers and this might. But he had all of those things and he was puffed up. There was no humility. There was no surrender. So because of this arrogance, this is how he was ultimately able to be conquered and killed by the Lord. It was his arrogance, that udata, that took him to the Lord Brahma asking for these things to begin with. So this is a quality, one who is humble and meek, would not generally ask for all these boons for power and immortality and all of these things, because someone who's truly surrendered to the Lord doesn't feel the risk of having any sort of, and it doesn't feel the fear of death truly. Whereas a demon, they do fear death. This was his thing. He feared death, or else he wouldn't have asked for immortality. Why did he fear death? What does death mean? It means the end of ruling, the end of power. It means the end of his existence and control. So now, as a, in his refusing to, or wanting to refuse the Lord, he's turning his back on trying to turn his back on death as well. But Prabhupada states right here in the purport that he cannot be immune to the four principles of material existence, namely birth, death, old age, and disease. So this is, no matter what, he is not immune, but it is his biggest fear, or else he would not have asked for that benediction. So he can't outlive his destined duration of life. This is what Prabhupada says. This is impossible, the destined duration of life. So when one turns their back to the Lord, they are trying to act in their own volition. They're trying to act according to what will bring them benefit, not will bring benefit to others. They're trying to act in a way that will make them look good, make them look powerful and strong, not what will elevate the Lord. Okay, so we can see, and there's analogies that are, side by side, contrast placed with Hiranyakashipu and with Prahlad Maharaj. So we can see this trying to control. Prahlad Maharaj is surrendered. The fear of death, Prahlad Maharaj is not fearful. He leaves his hands in the light, leaves his life in the hands of the Lord. How many times did Hiranyakashipu try and kill Prahlad Maharaj? Many, countless times. And Prahlad just was like, okay, Lord Vishnu will protect me. He kept saying, the Lord will protect me. And he didn't die. He couldn't die because the Lord was preventing him from that outcome. And so the other quality, Hiranyakashipu does not follow religious principles. Prahlad is very, very much teaching and following the regulations. This was part of in Prahlad's, when he was in school and he was part of that demon community, he was trying to teach religious principles. He was following them. He was regulated. And this is what incented Hiranyakashipu so much. He was so infuriated by this behavior. that he wanted to kill his son because he knew his son was in in cahoots. He knew his son would surrender to the Lord, not to him, and that was very disturbing to him to know that there was this child of his own flesh and blood that was not surrendered to him. He was surrendered to the Lord instead. He was not following the principles of Hiranyakashipu. He was following the principles of the Lord. And this is this juxtaposition that we see. And so when we are thinking about today's verse in in understanding in our own daily lives, what this can bring forth for us, there's we can look within to say, okay, how much am I really surrendering to the Lord? How much am I feeling that protection, or am I trying to hold myself in a space that is not going to be favorable for my Krishna consciousness? Am I blocking myself from Krishna consciousness? Am I blocking myself from the Lord somehow? Is there anything in my behavior that is, or in my own mentality that is arrogant, that is trying to control my situation, that is fearful of my life or my outcome because I do not see the Lord as the ultimate in everything that's being done in my life? How do we put ourselves out there? How do we present ourselves in everyday life? There's no as anybody who is existing and only for themselves, they will quickly find that it is going to have the same ending, death. But the devotee who does everything for the Lord, as Prabhupada said, there is no death. There's the material body, leaving the material body, but death does not come to the devotee of the Lord because that service continues on. And this is the distinction with devotees. When a devotee is constantly engaging themselves in activities for the Lord, when the devotee is constantly putting themselves into the mindset of remembering the Lord, this is how one can really truly escape death. And we're not escaping the physical death that can come at any time. We don't have any control over that. It's been made very clear, even in Bhagavad Gita 2:13. We cannot the anyone who understands these cycles of birth and death, the transition from birth to death to old age to disease, and anyone who understands that they'll be forever free, because that's one who is truly surrendered to the Lord is always going to be their soul is eternal, right? The soul is eternal, and it's someone's not going to be bewildered by this. So, in going into a little bit more with today's, and like I said, I know we've been talking a lot about Hiranyakashipu during this week, and about the birth of the two sons from DT. If we think about the bigger picture of what's happening here, the Lord is the mastermind of all of this. Sometimes we can take a step back and we can think, well, why is he doing all of this? Why is the Lord putting these difficulties on others, with allowing this demon to be born? Why is the Lord allowing this to happen? And I got in a conversation the other day with someone, it's like, why does the Lord let bad things happen? That and the person's like, was explaining that can challenge my faith. So we got into a little bit of a discussion around it, and that's not an easy thing to navigate. It's not an easy thing to navigate that the Lord allowed Hiranyakashipu to be born. He actually made arrangements for all of this to happen. And so how do we wrap our heads around this? And this is maybe a discussion point for today too. Like, how can we actually wrap our heads around why this can happen? Why does the Lord account for this? Why does the Lord promote this type of uh, environment where a demon is born and he's wreaking havoc and he's killing, and we read Krishna book and we see all the horrible things these different demons have done, the killing and the destruction. It's like, gosh, this is awful. This is terrible. Why would the Lord want this? Why would the Lord allow for this? And this could be a real test to the faith. We look into the world now. We look at the world today and we see all of these things that are happening in just around us in the news. We see natural disasters that occur. We see young children that are dying. We see terrible situations unfolding. We see, leaders that are making choices that are not beneficial for their people. We see this all over the world. And so often we might think, well, if the Lord could stop this, couldn't he? He wanted to. Couldn't he just stop all of this? But the Lord, we know, this is the Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva, that the Lord is simultaneously present and aloof. He's involved in everything, but he's also aloof from things. And when it comes to the activities, the Lord has given us the ability and the freedom to remove ourselves from him. And that choice that we've made as spirit souls to be separate from God has put us into the material energies. And the Lord created the material energies. The Lord created the modes of material nature. He created the kleshas. Adi Atmika, Adi Bodhika, Adi Devika. These are the kleshas, the suffering. He created all of that. He created all of this because he wanted to give the spirits, the jiva, the opportunity to experience separately from him, because this is not a forced relationship. God, as we know it through scripture, does not want a forced relationship. So in order for that relationship to be solidified, he let us go. He released us. He set us loose. There was a verse I read in Harrisburg earlier this week. It said, set us loose. He set the jivas loose. And I thought that was really a comical way to explain that we were set loose by the Lord. But it's kind of what happened, right? So he created. But then in order to create, so this is how we understand it through Shastra, right? I'm no expert on this. I'm just here reading Shastra, trying to figure it out for myself. But from what I understand, Shastrically speaking, God created us. But then if we were all just there loving him because we are his creation and he told us to love him, then that's not a true relationship. So he gave us the choice. He's like, okay, I set you loose into the world, but now I have to create a world for you to be set loose into. And this world, I can't make it too easy because you'll never come home to me, right? So if I make this world that I'm creating for my creation, if I make it too easy and too lovely, then you'll just want to stay there and you won't come home to me. I had to create some complications there for you. So he creates this material world. He creates the modes of material nature and the kleshas, and we got set loose. And now we have to figure out, do I want to go back home? It's like, you send your child away to college, or and it's like they come home for Christmas. They, things are good at school, but it's a little hard, and I have to get up early for class. So the kids come home, but then eventually they're out free on their own. And then they have a choice. They have a choice whether they're going to come home and visit. And you want to, and bring them into your home. And Krishna wants to give us the opportunity to come home to him, but he wants us to do it because we want to come home, because we love him. And so then we have to just all take our time navigating. Now, the problem with the modes of material nature and all the kleshas is that they have impact. And through lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, as one is further deeply exposed to these modes and more and more exposed to the material energies, we become more and more covered over. With each lifetime that we're here, if we're not taking to spiritual life and we're just getting deeper and deeper into these energies, then we are going to start picking up some qualities. Each lifetime, we're picking up qualities that might be bringing us down. And some of these characteristics, like wanting to control, wanting power, lording over things, all of these qualities that are antithesis of our relationship with God, they start to get stronger because we're further and further and further away. And this is what happens. So how does all of this happen? Well, we are in the material energies. We were set loose by the Lord to experience, and we have to figure out how to get home somehow. We have to figure out how to get, whether we want to escape from these material energies and find our way back home. Now, luckily, well, not luckily, but for someone like Hiranyakashipu, he was already in Vaikuntha in his prior life, and it was just one lifetime prior to that. So he was in Vaikuntha, he was a demon, and he gets to go back. We, on the other hand, don't know. We're not part of this past time that's so elevated. There's people here that have demoniac traits that have been here had lifetime after lifetime after lifetime in various forms, and their karma is accumulating. Each one of our karma is accumulating. So we don't necessarily have that same opportunity to just immediately go back home, except we do. We do have one opportunity, and this is Srila Prabhupada gave us that one opportunity. So we have the opportunity not to get killed by the Lord because we're demons. Hopefully we have that opportunity to hold on to the Lord through Srila Prabhupada and to grab on to really take to the process of bhakti yoga. And the process of bhakti yoga is very succinct. It's very clear. It's not easy, but it's clear what we have to do. And we do have that choice. We can just go right back. We have that opportunity. Even though we've been set loose, how many millions of years ago, we don't know. We don't know how many rounds, how many tours of duty we've done in the material world. But we know that this could be our last if we want it to be. And that's the opportunity that we've been given here. So we see these examples of these demons. We see these examples in Bhagavatam, and it's good to learn about these because these are pastimes that the Lord has enacted, and it's also good for us to use as an internal example, to take this, turn it inward on ourselves, and to say, okay, how am I turning my back on the Lord? How am I trying to control things? What have I done? How am I really thinking of the Lord? Am I really surrendered to the Lord in what I'm doing in my daily life? And this can be a daily assessment. So we have our japa, we have reading, we have all these things. And I think I come back to this a lot because for me it's the biggest opportunity is through our japa. Our japa, our chanting is one of the biggest opportunities that we have to truly turn the corner in our spiritual life. And it's the biggest opportunity because it is a prayer. It's a continuous prayer to the Lord, asking to be pulled into devotional service. And so it is the one area You know, if someone might ask us if there's one thing that you could improve or that you'd want to improve that you think would make a big difference in your life. You know, I would say I need to chant better rounds. You know, what does chant better rounds look like? Well, for me, it looks like being more focused. And for me, it looks like really putting a lot of energy into that prayer, into that appeal to God, and not being distracted, and carving out that precious time in a way that I know I'm going to get the most benefit from that activity. And so each and every day there's a new opportunity. Each and every day there's uh, a new way, you know, a new chance for us to get closer to God just through our japa. Daily sadhana is found in so many different practices. It's found in so many different spiritual paths. But the daily sadhana is the anchoring activity that can really set the tone for how we see our day. That's it. We have a lot of other things that can support that. We have Bhagavatam class, we have, you know, RT, we have deity worship. But why did Lord Chaitanya make chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra the Yuga Dharma? What does that Dharma mean? The Yuga Dharma means it is the one activity, the one thing that is prescribed for each and every one of us to be doing, chanting the holy names of the Lord, either through kirtan or through japa. Chanting the holy names of the Lord is the Yuga Dharma. It is the one and only, it is the one primary way, that it is the way that is going to get us out of here so that we can stop this cycle of birth and death. We also are in similar predicaments. We are in a similar predicament. We're hopefully not demons destroying the world, you know, walking around all puffed up, but we're in a similar predicament. And in a much more minute manner, these qualities so often exist in most human beings to a much, much, much lesser degree. But they're there, in minute forms. So being able to really pull out those weeds and see them, and really leaning into our sadhana, deeply into our sadhana as the primary thing. Long time ago, someone shared a story with me that a Prabhupada disciple had said to them, your first service is to your japa. And that always stuck with me. And it's really because a japa is everything. It is everything that we do that centers us. It is the remembrance. It is the hearing. It is the prayer. It is the service. Everything on those beads and through kirtan. So since I started a little online a little bit earlier, I'm going to end now and open up for any discussion, and see if there's any comments on this snowy. Oh, it's snowing good down here now. We're getting a nice bit of snow out here in Chester County. So sorry I didn't make it into the temple today. The roads were slick, so I only got a little bit and turned around. Any thoughts, comments, corrections for today?
Anybody has any questions or comments, please just unmute yourself. These have been interesting verses that are making us, I think the last couple of chapters for that matter, making us really go deep and understand there's just a lot to take, a lot to learn. Thank you very much for all the points you brought up. The other thing to remember is, we are subjected to those four difficulties, and we have to remember that we have to surrender and work towards that end. Bhakta David, Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. I was just thinking when you were discussing about when people say about why is there suffering, everything. I always think Krishna has a place where there is no suffering, but the material world is not it. Material world is a place of suffering, and that's one way to talk to people about why does he let this happen? Why does this happen? And it's all perfectly organized, and it's just like someone saying, hey, don't touch the fire, you'll get burned, and then someone puts their hand in the fire and say, hey, why did I get burned? I told you not to touch that. Like there are laws in place that can't be just changed randomly or whimsically or depending on that. And when we talk to people about like why is there suffering in the world, this whole world is suffering, and we're not meant to be here. Like the Prabhupada's mentioned about like being a fish out of water. We're not really supposed to be here, but there is a place where there isn't suffering, and that's where we want to be. Hare Krishna.
Hey, Krishna, thank you, Prabhu. Absolutely. I mean, like you said, the fish out of water. We were put here, we chose to be here. But it's not our true home. We're visitors. We're like aliens, we went on a trip and we got lost, and now we're trying to figure out how to get back to our home destiny, our home base. And so this is the path. This is the path that can take us home. Um, so yeah, but this is a place of suffering. Like I said, Krishna made it so. He created the material energies, and he made it so that it is a place of suffering, so that we don't want to stay here too long. Uh, so yeah, that's how it is. And all of these different personalities and demoniac traits, that's all as a result of the uncovering of or the covering of the soul. Yes, Vindyavali.
Yes, Mataji. The class was very good. But, like you said, Krishna, he put us here, but you know what, because of karma or whatever it is we did. But, he showed the way that bhakti yoga and then chanting, like you said. And those are the ways he showed. And we are the one, which one we choose. No, I don't want anything, and God is not there, and like that. That is a different mentality. If I think that, yes, I'll go by Bhakti Yoga and I'll say, I'll do chanting and Kirtan, and I'll try to go back to Godhead. So that is one thing, that we have to realize. And then this material world is not for us, but we had to look for a way how to get out of this.
Absolutely. Yeah, we definitely need to find a way, and we have that way home, right?
We
It's
have,
just,
but we need to go into that way path, that is the thing.
yeah, it takes focus, it takes dedication, it takes will,
Uh-huh. Lot of things.
um, a lot of things. So it's not, the path is guaranteed. Our
Path is
endeavor,
yeah.
yeah, our endeavor is another story. So it's we have to make the sincere endeavor. If we want, we don't have to do anything, but if we want to get out of this situation and get out of the cycle of birth and death, if we want that for ourselves, eventually, people come to a breaking point with the suffering and start looking for something else, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's often what happens, right? We know that there are the four types of people that come to the Lord, and one is the suffering. So they have become exhausted
Yeah.
by the suffering, and they start to look for other ways to navigate
Yeah.
the world. That's one of the top one of the top ones, is most people
Mm.
come to this process through suffering. They're like, there's got to be something else here. Like I must be doing something wrong. There has to be another way to navigate this world.
But this temporary happiness, we think that is what permanent for us, but it is not permanent for us. That
No, no,
realization takes some time.
it takes a lot of time because the thing about the material energies is that it's there's always something else there to grab us,
Mhm.
right? That's how the material energies are like that. There's always something new to pull us in.
Yeah.
So because of that, we kind of are just on a treadmill. We're just, and until we start recognizing the material energies and their influence, and that's the thing too. It's even to just be able to kind of peel off the film over our eyes and say, oh, okay, wait, I can see how the material energies are influencing me.
Yeah.
I can see how the modes are influencing me. I can see the kleshas in my life. Like I can see how I'm getting knocked around by the kleshas. I can see all of that. And even just having the vision, the visibility to all of that. It's like when you're getting your car and your windshield's completely covered over, like mine was this morning. Your windshield's completely covered over, and you try scraping it off. You're like, I can
True.
see a little bit more out there. And it's like, you start to have better vision. And that's what we want to strive for, is to improve our vision.
Thank you very much for the nice class.
Thank you for attending. Thank you for your insights too. Anyone else?
Well, you have a USB-C cable.
Oh, Jennifer Boo.
Thank you for the class today and making it happen despite I know you left to come to the temple and had to turn around. So thanks for keeping it going. I liked how you ended the class with the emphasis on our sadhana, the holy name, our dedication to the process. And as you were saying that, I was thinking how so often we talk about faith, and I think the faith in the simplicity of the process of Krishna consciousness, will allow us to remain committed and enthusiastic. And the overcomplication that sometimes we put ourselves through in trying to develop more, um, it screws us up, and we get thrown into you know different places, different mindsets. Things just become so complicated. And I was thinking how, like, kind of rededicating ourselves just to the faith of the simplicity of the holy name, um, is as you were saying that's what kind of came to my mind. And thank you for stimulating that and making that point.
Thank you, Prabhu. No, it's very important, I think. It's for when I speak, I'm often speaking to myself, for my own benefit too. Because I speak the lessons that I'm learning as I'm going along the way too, because it's I am very much on a quest personally, just to reveal a little of my heart to all of you, but I'm very much on a quest personally to keep my life more simple. Um, and really, my japa I'm really trying to make my japa the anchor of my life. Um, it's so critical. Japa is everything. Chanting is everything. And so that's my personal quest, my personal journey, is to really lean in heavily, heavily into my japa and simplify as much as I can in other areas of my life, so that the japa can actually take hold. of my heart and take hold of my mind and stay with me through the day. So it's a journey for sure. I have reached no destination with it at all. It's a journey that I share with all of you. So thank you for being here. Thank you for the class today. There's no other chat or discussion today, then we'll wrap it up on this very snowy, or at least out here in Chester County, snowy day. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha
Visha
kripa
Kripa
sindhubhyo
Sindhu
Vaishnavanam
Nam
pavanebhyo
Bhavanayo Vaishnavi
Vaishnavebhyo
Namo
namo
Namaha
namaha.
Hare Krishna,
Jai
everyone.
Krishna.